Mistake number one is talking way too much. You know, in a high-stress situation, there are two hormones that are released into your brain. These hormones are adrenaline and cortisol. If you folks have ever felt stress before, that feeling that you get from stress comes from the chemical cortisol. Now, as I mentioned before, one of the major natural reactions that you will have after a self-defense shooting is you will want to try to justify why you did what you just did. You have to fight this natural urge. You have to say only what you have to say, and then you have to shut up. Now, this is much easier said than it is done. Now, many years ago, Tiffany and I went on vacation in Boca Raton, Florida. We were staying at this beautiful Hilton hotel. It was like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, and we were swimming in the pool with my daughter, who was probably a year old. She was pretty small. When all of a sudden we heard a very loud crash right behind us. Now, this was so loud that people were coming out of the bedrooms looking over the balconies to see what just happened. So I got out of the pool, I walked over to this staircase, and I saw a massive honey-baked ham sitting on the ground. I remember looking at it thinking, what the hell is that? I looked over in the planter, and there was a big blob of something. Now imagine if we took a air compressor hose and we put it into the dirt, and then we turned the air compressor on. What would happen? Dirt would spray everywhere, right? So I'm looking at this and I'm watching dirt spray across the lobby of the hotel, and I'm thinking, what is going on here? I looked back at the honey-baked ham, and this is when I realized that it was a leg because there was a shoe attached to it. A 62-year-old man jumped off the 11th floor of the building, and he landed right on the edge of a concrete planter. He hit this concrete planter so hard that it completely severed his right leg. The thing inside of the planter was his torso. Rib cage was cracked open, organs were visible. And do you remember the thing spraying the dirt? So this guy's face was inside of the topsoil, and he was gasping for air. And every time he would exhale, dirt would shoot across the lobby. Now, what was fascinating about this incident is how everybody responded in a very different way. So my wife, Tiffany, when she realized what we were looking at, she hysterically burst into tears on the ground crying. So she is useless. Me, I tried to get control. I was just angry, trying to get control, right? So I saw this woman come out of a room holding a phone in her hand. So I looked at her and said, dial 911. And this lady goes, what's my password? How do I know your password, lady? What the hell is wrong with you? Now, when the police arrived, it seemed like it took an hour, but when the police arrived, I was standing there. I was probably 3 or 4 feet away from the body. Tiffany's still crying and praying on the ground. The police officer walked up. He put his hand on my chest, and he said, you need to back up. I immediately pushed the cop's arm out of the way, and I said, I was here first. Isn't that a stupid reaction, right? It's so stupid. First of all, I hit a cop. I'm telling a cop who is in charge, right, that I was here first, but I didn't do it consciously. After I caught myself, I did back up and I got out of his way. But I was so emotional, and it was so traumatic to see this guy dying that I just wasn't processing the fact that this is a police officer. I can't just push a police officer, and I have to do what they're telling me to do, right? I share this story with you for a reason. Number one, you need to know that subconsciously you're gonna do a lot of things after a self-defense shooting that you normally wouldn't do. And that's why we have to plan and prepare so that we don't make massive mistakes that are gonna get you in a lot of trouble. When you call 911, you are gonna want to justify what you just did. As I mentioned in the previous video, you need to say exactly what needs to be said. There was a self-defense shooting. The man broke into my house. I need EMS and I need police to this address. That's it. That's all you need to say. Now, 911 operators are trained to keep you on the phone, and they are trained to continue to ask you questions. And it's very hard when you're stressed and you've got this person asking you questions, it's hard to not answer. One of the mistakes that people will make is they'll say things like, hey, I shot this guy, he was assaulting me, so I had to shoot him, send firefighter and EMS. Well, in the state of Florida, you're not allowed to use a gun over an assault. So you just admitted that all you thought this was an assault, which you also admitted that you were not supposed to be using the gun. Can you see how this can spiral out of control? Say what you need to say and then shut up. Me personally, my personal plan, when I call 911, I'm gonna say there was a self-defense shooting, this person tried to stab me, I need EMS and police to this address, and then I am gonna hang up. That may not be the right thing for you. You need to consult with your attorney, make sure that it's legal and you're not gonna have any issues. But I know it's gonna be very hard for me to stay on that phone and not talk more, which is why I'm gonna hang up. Then I am immediately going to contact the USCCA so that I can get them to start working on my case, get my attorney to show up at the police station so that I am keeping myself protected.